Hello and welcome to episode 20 of the Gangrene Against the World podcast. I'm Allan Simon. The New York Jets are 0-5. They lose to the Dallas Cowboys 37-22 at MetLife Stadium. They have what is another undeniable no-show at MetLife, another game in which the outcome was decided well before the fourth quarter. It really ended at the end of the first half when the defense gave up and was already ready to head to the locker room, and instead of the Cowboys running out the clock, they allow a 66-yard run with very little time left in the half and then give up a touchdown, and it was already not great going into the half. It makes it that much worse. The defense cannot stop anyone. And the offense, although the final numbers look okay, in the three quarters when it mattered, they only score 6 points. And the Cowboys defense is one of the worst in football, much like the Dolphins defense being one of the worst in football, and the Jets couldn't capitalize on that last week. And it leads to an unimaginable start to the Aaron Glenn era. And I say unimaginable because it's one of the worst starts in the history of football by any team. They are the first team to start the season 0-5 and not have a turnover on defense. Aaron Glenn is the first Jets head coach to start his career 0-5. This means Aaron Glenn's tenure is off to a worse start than Rich Kotite and Adam Gase and the other disastrous eras of this Jets franchise. And you feel bad for Aaron Glenn. I think Aaron Glenn wants to be a good head coach. I think Aaron Glenn is a good football coach. He may just not be a good head coach, but it has reached the point very quickly where you have to ask, when is the conversation acceptable to ask the question, is Aaron Glenn a one-and-done head coach? And usually one-and-done head coaches, it's because they don't give the guy enough time. It is pretty rare in the NFL, even though NFL teams flip over coaches all the time. But last week, Aaron Glenn screamed at his team so loudly that the press room was able to hear him. And they responded with a worse performance. And that is a week after his team responded to him saying these aren't the same old Jets with a terrible performance. But today was the worst. The Cowboys are not a good football team. They've played well. They're not a terrible football team. The Cowboys are what most of the league looks like. Most of the league is somewhere between the Cowboys, the Broncos, all of these kind of floating teams. They're going to finish around 500. Maybe they'll sneak into the playoffs. The majority of the NFL looks like the Cowboys. They have massive flaws, but they have areas of strength. And the Jets' areas of strength do not show up when it matters. They run the ball well again today. Breece Hall has a nice day. Garrett Wilson finishes with a stat line that's respectable, even though he could not get the ball in his hands early on in this game. But the Jets are the only team in the NFL without a win. They have to go to England next week, where they always struggle, and play a Broncos team that just beat the Eagles. They then play the Panthers at MetLife. The Panthers just beat the Dolphins, who beat the Jets last week. And then you end things at Cincinnati before the bye, and that might be the worst team on the schedule. But until the Jets can show they can put a full football game together, I refuse to believe that any of these games can be wins. They have not shown it. They have shown no fight. And, I'm arguing on Twitter right now. You can follow me at the Gangrene about why I think it matters to bring up that Justin Fields' stat line was a lot in garbage time. It's because Justin Fields has not played well, and he's had time to throw. Now, the line was worse today, but he still had a lot of opportunities where he's just missing guys wide open, or he's throwing his checkdowns way too late, way too late, so the guys have no opportunity to make a play with the ball. Of his 200 whatever yards today, 119 of them and both of his touchdowns come in the last 12 minutes of the game when the game is completely over. So this offense isn't doing anything when they need it. They have another drive that ends with a fumble inside the 10-yard line, and that's a problem. Breece Hall, he got smacked. It was one of those, that's football, it happens. Yes, you need to secure the ball, but it's not like, he's reaching and trying to extend the play and then the ball gets stripped. It was just a great hit. But how about this defense, after you give up another fumble inside the 10-yard line, doesn't let a team go 90-plus yards and score a touchdown immediately in 2 straight weeks? There's no complimentary football being done at all because the defense can't complement anything. This defense is atrocious. This could be the worst defense we've seen in a long time for the Jets. Year 1 of Robert Saleh, that was the worst ranked defense in the league, and it might be recency bias, but this defense, at least, is horrendous. And if you look at all the pieces and you look at a lot of the stats, this team should be mediocre. This team should be 1-4, 2-3. It's, probably a lower echelon team, but instead they're the worst team in football. And the reason they're the worst team in football is because they turn the ball over in key spots and they can't stop anyone when it matters. And it's as simple as that. And scoring in the end of these games when it's all over doesn't really mean anything. It's really just eyewash. The other alarming things, we talked about the 66-yard run by Javonte Williams, the tackling on that. I mean, he is bottled up 3 times and he's not brought down. That is purely an effort play, and that's when it's a problem with coaching. If you look at the first 5 games, Aaron Glenn and his staff have been outcoached in every single one of them. Every single game, they have been completely outcoached. And he says he's not going to take anything away from Steve Wilks in terms of, play calling on defense, any of that stuff. Well, something needs to change. Or else you're looking very potentially at an 0-6 team after next week. And at some point, it's going to be that Woody Johnson won't be able to withstand the criticism. We know what happened the last time they lost in front of Woody Johnson's friends in England. Robert Saleh lost his job, and it really completely torpedoed the season last year. It was a terrible decision. It should have been done at the end of the year. Instead of a team that's 2-3 and playing for a division, they completely bottom out. And this team has already bottomed out. This team never even started. They started with a complete failure to launch, and it's the no-show games that just drive you crazy. I'm sitting there at the end of the half, and I'm thinking, I can't believe I'm about to leave this game in the 4th quarter and go watch a Yankee game that I wish I didn't see. But they are just non-competitive. Completely non-competitive, and it is embarrassing. You have guys like Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall who are good players who are just being wasted on this team, and it's gonna lead to some real division in the locker room. It always does. For years, it was the defense getting mad because the offense couldn't do its part. Well, the offense, although it's not really when it matters, they're putting up something. They're moving the ball a little bit. They can run the ball in this league right now. But there's not much to hang your hat on for this team. Membu has a really tough day, and that's part of being a rookie in the NFL as a tackle. Jermaine Johnson may come back, and it looked like he could have come back this week, but he misses it. And we have to see another performance from Michael Clemens that is completely forgettable. There's another clip of Michael Clemens where the ball is in front of him. The play is literally happening in front of him, and he doesn't know where the ball is. And he's looking down the line in the wrong direction as a player runs free. It is baffling to me how a professional football player, a guy starting in the NFL right now, can look that bad that consistently. Sauce Gardner had a better game today, but he gets beat on a huge touchdown pass. He's hand-checking the entire way, and he's holding on to him the entire way. He never once turns around to find the ball. He's playing through his hands, and even though he tackled well early and he didn't have a lot of targets against him, so he was clearly playing well, he still lets out a huge touchdown that was really deflating for this team. It's just hard to believe that we're here again. And then you look, so now you talk about the draft, right? They're 0-5. They're the only winless team. Yeah, I don't know where you even build from this team. You keep your tackles that are good. The offensive line is okay. Breece Hall, do you trade Breece Hall right now? Do you trade Breece Hall before the trade deadline? What good is having a future free agent running back who, if I'm him, I'm getting the heck out of here and getting nothing for him before he leaves? If this is over and this season is over, I don't see a reason why you don't trade away Breece Hall. Garrett Wilson just signed an extension. I bet he wished he didn't do that. He got his money, but man, he's a deflated guy. His post-game press conferences are really mature, and he's a leader, and he stands there and he talks about how, his best reps can't be on a Thursday in practice. They have to be on Sunday. But you got to imagine he's miserable right now. And this team is barely hanging on by a thread, if at all. And if this continues to go the way it is currently going, there's a world where Aaron Glenn doesn't get a year 2 with the New York Jets. And another thing that you hate, and Jets Twitter's just all over it, is he says they're a great week of practice, maybe the best week of practice we've ever had. That is a guarantee that they're going to have a terrible game. Because if you need to call out effort in practice, it means there's nothing there. It means you're really grasping for straws. So, listen, this is going to be a shorter one because I can't look at this team anymore. I'm just so happy that at least Sunday coming up, the game is in the morning and it'll be over before the rest of the slate starts, and I can just go about my day. Let them lose to the Broncos, 27-3, and I can move on with my life. The experience at MetLife I thought was good today, although it was so hot it was a unseasonably warm day at MetLife Stadium. It felt like 90 degrees. Where my seats are, the sun's right in your face. I'm getting sunburn on October 5th. It's ridiculous. But a great tailgate. I mean, the parking lot is completely packed first thing in the morning. It was certainly a mix of Jets and Cowboys fans. And you felt like even though both teams aren't great, if you put a good game out in front of this group at MetLife, the stadium would be electric, and you just don't even give yourself a shot. You don't even give yourself a chance to perform in front of your team. I did think it was funny that they choose to wear black uniforms and it's the hottest October day you'll ever have. But the highlight of my football season continues to be tailgating and then moving on and having to grit through another disastrous performance from the New York Jets. So, more to come later this week as we head into Broncos week. The Jets are 0-5. The Jets are the worst football team in the National Football League, and things are spiraling out of control for Aaron Glenn. I can't believe we're finished before we even started in the year 2025, but here we are. So this has been episode 20 of the Gangrene Against the World podcast. I'm Allan Simon. Thank you for listening.